Mikhail Gorbachev was the last leader of the Soviet Union, serving from 1985 to 1991. He is known for his policies of glasnost openness and perestroika restructuring, which aimed to reform the Soviet Union's political and economic systems. Gorbachev's leadership was characterized by his willingness to engage in dialogue with Western leaders, leading to significant changes in Soviet foreign policy and arms control. His efforts to modernize the Soviet Union and improve relations with the West brought him international acclaim and the Nobel Peace Prize in 1990. Gorbachev's quotes are famous because they reflect his vision of a more open, democratic, and peaceful society. His calls for political reform and disarmament were seen as bold and progressive, inspiring many people around the world. However, his reforms also faced significant opposition from hardline communists, who saw them as a threat to Soviet ideology and power. Gorbachev's policies ultimately led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and he remains a controversial figure in Russian politics to this day. Overall, Gorbachev's quotes are important because they provide insights into a critical period of history when the world was on the brink of nuclear war and significant changes were taking place in global politics. His ideas about peace, democracy, and the role of government continue to influence debates and discussions about the future of international relations, making them essential knowledge for anyone interested in politics, history, and global affairs. And here are the quotes of Mikhail Gorbachev that are so famous and also controversial. Enjoy. Glasnost means openness and transparency in all aspects of Soviet life. Perestroika is not a man or a team of men. It is a movement of the masses. The arms race is the worst form of insanity. If what you have done yesterday still looks big to you, you haven't done much today. We are reaping the fruits of past mistakes and are facing problems that should have already been solved. The most important thing in my life is to do something worthwhile. The past is always with us, for it feeds the present. Freedom is the recognition of necessity. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we remember that we are not descended from fearful men. To live is to change, and to be perfect is to have change often. Democracy is not just a question of having a vote. It consists of strengthening each citizen's possibility and capacity to participate in the deliberations involved in life and society. The test of politics is not whether you can win power, but whether you can use it to improve people's lives. I believe in the law of life, that it is necessary to adjust oneself to the conditions of life and to make one's own way. Let us not forget that revolutions are accomplished through people, although they be nameless. The struggle of people against power is the struggle of memory against forgetting. The secret of politics: make a good treaty with Russia. The strength of the Soviet system lies not in repression, but in its ability to mobilize people to achieve results. The world is full of people who are not like us and never will be. Without glasnost and perestroika, the Soviet Union would have never been able to modernize. Nobody should pin their hopes on a miracle. We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. We must break the vicious circle of poverty and inequality that keeps many people in a state of deprivation. There is no such thing as a perfect leader, either in the past or present, in China or elsewhere. Peace is not unity in similarity, but unity in diversity, in the comparison and conciliation of differences. The world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow. You cannot make progress without making decisions. It is better to discuss things, to argue and engage in polemics than make perfidious plans of mutual destruction. Man is not what he thinks he is what he hides. Let our children be taught that true peace is not the absence of war, but the presence of justice. We need a new beginning, a new era of cooperation and trust among the peoples of the world. The world is in a crisis of power, not a crisis of humanity. Freedom of thought is the foundation of all human progress. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship. I am not the only person who is in charge of the Soviet Union. The enemy is not socialism. The enemy is the lack of socialism. Revolutions are not made by men in palaces, but by masses of men in the streets. We must learn to think differently, relearn how to live in a new world. We will never win the battle for our common humanity as long as we remain divided by ideology or politics. The most important quality of a leader is integrity. In a democracy, the leader must listen to the voice of the people. We have to democratize the whole society, not just the political system. It is in everyone's interest to seek a peaceful world order. The arms race must be replaced by a peace race. The market is not an invention of capitalism. It has existed for centuries. It is an invention of civilization. You cannot reform a system by preserving its status quo. We must respect each other's differences and learn to live together in harmony. The most important lesson of history is that no one has learned anything from history. The Soviet Union is not a prison, but a laboratory of the future. The process of democratization is never-ending. It must continue to evolve and grow. The future is not predetermined. It is created by our actions today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like our video. Please share your opinion in the comments column.